Meanwhile, after seizing power in 1959, Fidel Castro and his supporters took a victory tour of sorts from Santiago de Cuba to Havana. And today his ashes will begin to retrace that journey on their way to Castro's final resting place. A massive rally is expected on the island nation to honor the man who ruled the country for nearly 5 decades. And last night, Castro's brother, Cuban President Raul Castro, paid his respects, as you can see here, placing a flower next to the urn containing his late brother's ashes. And CBS This Morning co-host Charlie Rose is in Havana's Revolution Square, where a memorial for Castro will be held tonight. And again, Charlie, thousands have been lined up there to honor their fallen leader. What is the mood on the ground there in Havana?
Well, it's a very interesting thing. I've been here many times, as I've said before, a number of times. And there's always a sense of music, and there's a sense of people in the street and dancing and all those kinds of things. It's a very live city. It's more subdued. People are lining up, and they have been lining up. They're now prepared to go in to bid farewell to Fidel Castro. There inside, there's a photograph, and there's some medals and flowers, and they line up. They don't really seem to be speaking a lot. They take their cameras in. They photograph what is there. We don't know where the urn is. It's in a VIP room, we think, and they expect hundreds of thousands again today to pass by. This evening, there is a massive memorial service. It will be, the climactic day in an event in Havana. A large crowd expected, and then tomorrow, the remains will leave here, and they will take a trip across to Santiago, and there they will find their final resting place for Fidel Castro, the place that the revolution began. It is said that it was his favorite city, and he loved that city much more than Havana. So their mood is subdued, remembering. A lot of people here didn't know any other leader except the Castros. I'm surprised how many young people are there, because Castro has not been in power, Fidel, for 10 years. In 2006, he gave up power to his brother, and then 2 years later, he gave up the presidency to his brother. He's been seen occasionally for the Pope, but not much since his illness.
And Charlie, I know that you've had a chance to speak to a lot of those young people, and when you're not talking Cubs baseball, I know you've had a chance to talk to them about their future. There are questions that remain about a Trump administration's stance on diplomatic ties between the U.S. and Cuba. What is it, in your sense, that everyday Cubans would like to see?
My sense is that everyday Cubans here, and people in Miami, and people in the United States would all like to see a really good relationship between Cuba and the United States. That means an end of the embargo. That means a more respect for human rights here. That means a sense of Cuba deciding its course in terms of some economic model. It means Cuba deciding where it wants to take its place in the community of nations. It's already has had a significant influence in terms of some leaders in Latin America. Fidel's footprint was huge because he, in ruling a country of 11 million people, 6 million when he began, has now seen his own global profile for some 50 years. He had the ability to project himself to a global profile. And I think they have a sense of that. But a lot of people here didn't know Cuba before Fidel. He was the only leader that they knew. And then they know his brother, who's less of a commanding figure in terms of his personality, its charisma. So I think there's a sense up here of honoring that and hopeful about the future. Hopeful that they know America, and they know American baseball, they know American music, they know American films, they know American fashion. So there's a sense that there's a culture that knows America, and they know, that this is a time of change in America as well as here. They know little about what Trump might be and might do. They get conflicting signals, if at all.
Well, that future does await after a final goodbye said in Havana tonight. I know, Charlie, you'll be there for it. Our Charlie Rose there in Havana. As always, your insight is very much appreciated.
Thanks, Josh.